Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. Thank you for being with us today. Jason is engineering the broadcast at Genesis Communications Network in Minnesota. I'm Vincent Finelli. If you would like to call us, we'll pay for the call. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Telephone listen line, 24/7. If you'd like to listen to USA Prepare, 605-477-3249. Rich Scheben's with us. Welcome, Rich.
Well, thank you, Vince. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing really well. And I need to tell the class that I mentioned yesterday I was on a tear about why I see America is falling down, failing right in front of our eyes. And I mentioned Sam's Club, and I mentioned another bunch of other companies. And I had a meeting yesterday afternoon. I drove the 120 miles into Springfield, Missouri, and I met with the management of Sam's Club in Springfield, Missouri. And we had a nice chat in the conference room. You know, that room that members hardly ever see. And it was probably about 45 minutes long. And we talked about what's right and what's wrong, and we told some stories about things that work, things that don't work, and what I see and what I don't see, and what I think they should tell their employees. And as a result of my disappointment with Sam's Club, I had this meeting. I've been a member of Sam's Club for 26 years, uninterrupted 26 years. And I guess they thought maybe I might have a point of view that should be considered. I think that's what happened. And I pulled out my Sam's Club card, and it said, member since, and it was 26 years. And they found out that everything I said was absolutely true, accurate. And they are going to take action, and they've already taken action to encourage their employees to behave a little differently toward the customers, members, being more polite, less demanding, not telling the customers what you will do, because it doesn't work for me. And I was ready to surrender my Sam's Club membership and not pick up the eyeglasses that I had made for me, that I've already paid for. And what I ended up doing was agreeing to three things. I have not picked up my glasses. I was there, I could have, but I don't think I want them. I don't think I want to deal with the optical department because of the experience that I had there. So I think I'm going to tell them to keep the glasses and refund my money. I'll go get them someplace else. But I explained to the management at Sam's Club that I had a family meeting, and we were talking about, so Sam's Club, we're paying $100 a year. Why are we doing that? Why? What do we buy at Sam's Club that would justify spending $100? Now, some people may think $100 is no big deal. But to me, it is. It's hard. I've sold cows for $50. Raised cows and sold them for $50. So $100 is a big deal to me, especially if I were wasting it. So we decided that there's only one thing that we needed from Sam's Club, one thing, and that was their laundry detergent that comes in these great big buckets. They used to be 5-gallon buckets, and they've gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, and the price has gone up and up and up. But that's the only thing that we really need from Sam's Club, the only thing. And actually, we don't even need that. And so while I was meeting with management, my wife and our son were looking for the laundry detergent. We're going to buy maybe 6 or 8 buckets of it. We're out of stock. Out of stock. So that's something that one of the things I wanted to discuss with you today is if you think you can get it, get it tomorrow, it may not be true. as in the case of if you wanted Sam's Club laundry detergent yesterday in the buckets, they didn't have it. Now, I don't know why. But I just want to say that we worked it out. I was satisfied with the result. And one of the things that a couple of things I said was I wanted the manager to listen to yesterday's broadcast when I absolutely told it like it is. And she said she would. And I said, I'd like you to get back to me and tell me what you think about what I said. So the three things that we agreed on is she would listen to it. She would get back to me about it. And they offered me, I didn't ask for anything. They offered me paying for my year's membership, which I said I would do that if she listened to the broadcast, because I think it's a training. Yesterday's broadcast was a training class that should be absolutely required for all new hires of companies that interface with the customers. Absolutely required. It will tell you whatever you do, don't do these things that we delineated in yesterday's broadcast. So I wanted to share that with you, Rich.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. There's two messages I'll take out of there for the class. First of all, that's a great way to beat inflation or forced obsolescence or whatever term you want to put to that. I really believe it's a good thing to stock up on certain stuff that you need. You know, it could be laundry detergent, it could be rubber boots, you know, for here in my hobby farm. You know, living on the Canadian border really helps because I can go I'm going to give a little free advertising to Canadian Tire. It's not just a tire store. It's kind of an everything store. They have a great hunting and fishing department in there. But I bought a pair of rubber boots up in Canada because I live on the Canadian border. And I paid just $39 for a pair of double insulated rubber boots for the winter. $39. I mean, I spend more of that on lunch often. And then they saw fit to give me a 1/3 discount. It's somewhere between 33 and 36%, and that is called the exchange rate. So if you have a little extra money, stocking up on certain stuff, especially as the packaging becomes smaller, the quality becomes less along with quantity. And I just think it's a good idea to just have a little backup because we never know what's coming. It could be in the realm of food, could be in the realm of clothing, could be in the realm of rubber boots, household goods, whatever it is, even skill sets. You can never have enough skill sets. But, you know, you also mentioned, Vince, that the country is falling, and there isn't one person out there that disagrees with you because everything, especially that comes from the powers that be, and they use the mainstream media, it's all lies, propaganda, false flags, hoaxes. It's all manufactured perception, and it's made this way public opinion to hold on to the narratives. But I do see articles every day that is changing that narrative. For example, here's an exclusive: immigrant woman sheds the party, and this is the Democrat Party, that thinks it owes her a vote. She's mortified that you reduce people to their group's identity, and it's degrading, unquote. So I've talked about this till I'm blue in the face. Those of you who are new listeners, I mention this often on how when you lower the bars of standards and expectations for a job, you degrade that person, you disrespect that person, you insult their work ethic, ability, and intelligence, and you never empower that person or their group, especially the nation. What you do is you destroy it. When you lower the bars of standards and expectations, and you destroy America through rewarding mediocrity, you turn our whole country into the law of diminishing returns. And all the things that people are looking for through building skill sets, through getting college degrees, etc., all the opportunity, all the knowledge, ingenuity, productivity, and innovation is gone. It's only eliminated for the privileged few, for the nepotism, for certain people of certain groups. You know, it's so important that people understand, and I know I'm being redundant on this for regular listeners, but we do have a separate tiered system of different rules, laws, and accountability based on what victim group or protectionist group status one has. We do not let the powers that be, even on the right. This is so important. And Vince, we talked about this yesterday privately. It's so important. When people say, even on the right, we have a two-tiered system of justice, it's BS. It's BS, okay? We have a multi-tiered system of justice. The two-tiered system of justice is propaganda to make you believe there's more left-right paradigm than there is aristocracy managing the serfs. Okay? There's very little left-right paradigm. It's the aristocracy managing, controlling the serfs regarding money, power, and control. It's an addiction, okay? So all these manufactured racial tensions, gender tensions, religious tensions, sexual orientation tensions, and baiting on the mainstream media, this is all a divide and conquer strategy. I cannot say this enough. Vincent, so I just want to let people know that people are waking up to this propaganda. They're waking up to all the divide and conquer strategies that we talked about. In fact, Vince, did you read that letter I sent to Fox News?
Yeah, let me read it. When we come, I have a letter that you wrote to Fox News. I don't have enough time to read it during this segment, but because the segment's almost ending. But I'll read it if it's okay with you when we come back after the break. Is that okay with you?
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's why I sent it out to the public. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I do want to say this. Yesterday, I mentioned that I came down pretty hard on Sam's Club, Walmart, Home Depot, and some others. And the audio that Ron Gibson posted was titled USA Prepares. This is on YouTube. USA Prepares 4119. Joey, America is falling apart. Okay? And that's what it's titled. And it says, America's falling apart right in front of our eyes. Examples of salespeople who should have never been put in their jobs in the first place. Sam's Club, Walmart, Home Depot, and others. Please feel free to use this video to train your new employees who replace the incompetent ones that thankfully you just fired. Our views were up 2x from normal. We don't normally have a lot of views on YouTube. I think the numbers aren't quite right. But twice the number of views all of a sudden, because we're exposing what's really happening here in the United States. We're falling down, and we don't like it, and we're talking about it angrily. We'll be right back. Class, Rich Scheben's with us, and I want to thank Pac-Man, P-A-C space M-A-N-N, for his nice comment on yesterday's Ron Gibson's channel YouTube audio of our broadcast. He said, I know more than 200 people listen to this fake algorithms BS. What he's saying is our numbers are low, really low, and he doesn't believe the numbers are right, and neither do we. So, Pac-Man, thank you very much. And for all of you who make positive comments on the Ron Gibson channel on YouTube, for usaprepares.com, thank you so much for the nice things that you have to say. Here's a letter that Rich Scheben wrote, and it was to Irina at Fox News. And let me read this. It says, Irina, I must say Fox has dropped the ball when representing the people. Your lack of guts to sell conformity against the American people by using political correctness is very troubling. Please reinstate Judge Jeanine immediately, because there aren't many people left who have the courage to tell the truth and stand for principle. Fox used to have a reputation of shining light on other venues in the corrupt mainstream media, especially when they would manufacture perception, pity, guilt, and ideology. Now that Fox is defending cowardice and sanctioned narratives from the powers that be, you have eliminated any credibility from your news network. You are just like the other news networks who are responsible for promoting victim group status and lowering the bars and standards and expectations for getting a job here in our country. Your network has signed on the dotted line to use divide and conquer strategies to destroy this country. As long as your network promotes a different tiered set of rules, laws, and accountability for different groups, you steal hope from law-abiding citizens. Your network is now just part of the bought and paid for media who has sold out the American people. Sincerely, Rich Scheben. That's what you wrote, Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Well done.
Yeah, I wrote it in the context of, I got an email from somebody. I get a lot of emails, obviously, and, there was a lot of people very upset about Fox News taking Judge Jeanine off the air for a while for this politically correct suspension of what she said, which is basically truth-based, even though it is opinion, and she uses objective facts in her opinions. However, I just think we need to not be the silent majority. We have to stop hedging our bets. We have laws and Bill of Rights and Constitution that millions of combat soldiers gave their life for, so we could have these laws to protect us, whether it be free speech or having weapons, arms, as the Constitution says, to protect ourselves, our family, our homes. And and just like the article that I just read, we have to start speaking up. And I know the instructors on USA Prepares and a lot in the new/alternative media has been doing this. Here's a really positive article right here. Sheriff willing to go to jail rather than enforce proposed gun laws. And for those of you in Weld County, Colorado, you need to give kudos to a hero that you have there by the name of Steve Reams, who disagrees with gun bill making its way through the Colorado legislature, and he believes in the rule of law. In other words, our Bill of Rights and Constitution. And he's talking about red flag bills to seize guns temporarily from people, and it's not going to be temporarily. And basically, anybody who has something against somebody is going to say, "Oh, this person, he's a mental maniac. We need to take away his guns." But behind the scenes is somebody who has a rift with somebody. And this is what the so-called Democrats or left are doing, who are bought and paid and funded by the globalists, by the way. I think everybody in America knows that the Democrats are no longer the Democrat Party, and I've given hundreds of examples, just like I've given hundreds, if not thousands of examples on how we've been distracted, dumbed down, and divided by groups. So we can't have independent counties or states creating laws against the Constitution. So for those of you in Colorado, you need to
hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're going to break. Rich Scheben's with us. Rich, you were talking about a sheriff. Did you want to continue, or do you want to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, let me just put an exclamation point on this. I think everybody in Colorado should thank Steve Reams for being, in my opinion, he's a hero because he's sticking up for the rule of law. That's what sheriffs are supposed to do. Okay, our Bill of Rights and Constitution is there for a reason. It is the rule of law. The silent majority must speak up. Keep in mind, and this is kind of a dovetail into the next article I want to mention real quick, Vince, and I'll give you the microphone. Micah Brzezinski, remember, she said, she's from either MSNBC, CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, doesn't matter. They're all the same. They're all bought and paid for by the elite. Her quote was, the media's job is to control exactly what the people think. Now, this next article, William Arkin speaks out against NBC and MSNBC. Arkin recently blasted NBC News along with MSNBC News in an email for becoming captive and subservient to the national security state and pro-war in the name of stopping Donald Trump, and now the prime instrument against the war machine's promotion of militarism and imperialism. this is something based on my research. Mainstream media has always been. It's always been there. It's why they were created in the first place. I'm just trying to skip ahead to get to the main meat and potatoes of this article. Arkin stated as a result of this, the national security establishment not only hasn't issued a beat, but indeed has gained dangerous strength and is ever more autonomous and practically impervious to criticism. And this article, if you have to basically give a title to it, it's NBC journalist quits, then blows the whistle on how mainstream media deceives the public. So, people are waking up. People are becoming more brave. There's three main reasons, if I had to shoot from the hip, on why certain people, especially the elite, are against we the people. First reason I would say is a dollar sign. In other words, they're bought and paid for. The second reason is they're stupid, or they're pretending to be stupid or play stupid. And the third reason is cowardice. And that includes all information which can create leverage against somebody else. And we need to mention this on a regular basis, and we need to talk about that. And as more and more people read up, research up, and speak up, I think America has a chance. So I know our country is falling, Vince. I know the numbers look bad. I know, I try to talk about math, especially regarding our financial and economic situation often. But as people realize what's happening, maybe some of the ideas and solutions that we talk about, and not being condescending for this statement, will be more understood. But we'll get people angry to the fact that it's very obvious now that we're being distracted, dumbed down, and divided by race, gender, sex, religion, sexual orientation, ideology, even generations. And that's why all these mainstream media outlets are trying to hold on to the narrative and create division between everybody. They don't even care who hates each other anymore. We are allowing the elite to poison us against ourselves, and as more and more people wake up to what's going on, as some of these articles that I'm mentioning, I think the average Joe can start doing something about it. Vince?
I was listening to what you said, Rich, and you mentioned that you believe that Weld, W-E-L-D, County Sheriff Steve Reams, R-E-A-M-S, is a hero. Now let's think about that. So you mentioned that he's a hero because he's standing up for the Constitution. But in reality, he took an oath of office to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. He's doing nothing more than what he took an oath to do.
Right.
However, he's surrounded by lawmakers who supported a bill that was voted into law that violates the Constitution. Now, it's great that he's standing up. There's no question about it. I'm with him, and I support his efforts. However, I think what we should be doing is arresting the state senators who passed this bill into law that violates the Constitution. How about that?
No, Vince, I totally agree. I mean, look, let me just give you a couple of headlines here. Ilhan Omar under investigation for using campaign funds to pay for her divorce against the law. Dems using more taxpayer dollars to investigate Trump's business. That's probably sedition. Mueller record of framing innocent people to protect the guilty. Gay principal fired over sex with teens reinstated after tribunal rules decision discriminatory because he was gay. Breaking 120 Muslim migrants attack.
Hold it. Let's go back. Let's rewind just a little bit. Gay principal, can you read that one more time, please?
You bet. Gay principal fired over sex with teens reinstated after tribunal. This is on newssentinel.com.
Okay, so here's the question.
Over sex with teens reinstated after tribunal rules decision discriminatory because he was gay, and they said if he was straight, it would be something different. So I don't know. When they say teens, I read this article like a week ago, and I tried to find it. I just have the heading here. Who knows? When they say teens, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Maybe they're 18. I don't know. But the point
19.
is that they reinstated him because, to be honest with you, if he was heterosexual, they would never reinstated him.
Reinstated. Well, here's the question I have, class.
Because he's homosexual, and that's what the article points out.
Here's the question I have. Fathers of the world, you have a teenager who has queer sex, homo sex, because it's initiated by some adult, some queer, some homo. What would you do? I know what I would do. I know what I would do.
Yeah, Vince,
what would you do?
And that's the problem, Vince, because the fathers have been kicked out of the home. The divorce rate is between 70 and 75%, depending on what you listen to. And as long as we keep group identity politics alive, the fathers are going to be kicked out of the home, so the mothers can get more money from the state, and the state turns out to be the daddy. When the state turns out to be the daddy, it's all over. But see, there's a lot of. This is why I hate terms like hypocrisy and double standards. We need practice what you preach laws. Here's a great article right here. Rich San Francisco residents put up $75,000 to oppose a homeless shelter that's going to be moving into their area. So basically, all these so-called Democrats who vote for their agenda, it's only for the little people. It's for us. It's not for them. They get to be protected by laws that can be swayed, reinterpreted. They can have walls. They can have security agents with guns. They can do everything they want, and they can usually buy their way out of anything that might affect their lifestyle or their privacy or anything. See, we cannot allow a different set of rules, laws, and accountability based on what group you're in. Here's another article. Breaking 120 Muslim migrants hijacked an Italian rescue ship. They rescued them, and then they hijacked the ship and brought them back into Europe. Philadelphia Archbishop, predatory homosexuality, these are quotes, cause of abuse crisis. As long as we separate the people by skin pigmentation shade, by gender, by sexual orientation, by religion, by ideology, by generation, and this perceived ideology, because most people who follow the left don't even understand that they've been hijacked by the globalist party, and we've given who knows how many examples on this show, countless numbers over the years. So, Vince, what we really need to concentrate, that's why this one article about this lady, this immigrant lady, who basically is calling group identity politics or victim group status degrading, and she's absolutely right. We need to judge by merit. That's why the left wants to get rid of meritocracy. If America is void of hard work, effort, proven results, and qualifications, and we cannot better ourselves, if we cannot help others, if we cannot save for retirement, if we can't get out of debt and have a healthy savings, which is more important than any unit of measure under the so-called definitions of GDP, which I've talked about till I'm blue in the face. Unless we start, if we don't get rid of our hyphens, because the elite sanction these messages, every message that's done on the mainstream media is sanctioned or approved, and it's approved to mostly divide the American people, okay? It's approved to use divide and conquer strategies. And this is why we need to be aware of this. We need more people like this immigrant woman coming forward and speaking up. We need more people talking about the articles that we talk about on the air that are against the law, like Ilhan Omar under investigation for using campaign funds to fund her divorce. Or if you are a homosexual principal, you can have sex with whatever you or whoever you want. Here's a great example. CNN's Simone Sanders says Donald Trump is a white nationalist. What the hell? I mean, we're getting to the point that the mainstream media is actually, they're fighting stupidity and cowardice all the way to the poorhouse. That's what they're doing to the American people. And we need to start speaking up. Just here's another article. Think about what this means. An advisor to the FDA issues blunt warning to America. Congress is owned by Big Pharma. Well, are we going to depend on Congress to make our lives better? No, we have to do it ourselves. Vince?
Well, he mentioned something that pushed one of my buttons. I'll tell you a little bit about that when we come back. Rich Sheben's with us, offgridmontana.com. So, Rich Sheben, you hit one of my buttons, and I've decided to do a photo essay about the hometown of one of the elites in our society, one of the movers and shakers, one of the wealthy. So I'm going to take some pictures, and I'll put together an article, and I'll post it on USA Prepares, and you'll get a chance to see what the habitat surrounding one of these elites has become. What happens when you have a wealthy person, a mover and shaker, an elite? What happens with where they might have spent some time? I'm going to show you. I'm not going to tell you whether it's good, bad, or indifferent at this point. But I guarantee it will be an eye-opener. Rich Sheben, I want to mention this. I really came down hard on the unqualified yesterday in our broadcast. I came down really hard on people who have positions that they shouldn't have. They are between the customer and the cash register, and they have no business being there because they don't know what they're doing. They don't have the knowledge base. They don't have the personal skills. They shouldn't be there. I'm talking about all kinds. I'm talking about waitresses with pink, blue, orange, red, green, purple hair, antennas in their tongues and in their noses. People whose behavior is questionable at least. Why do people disfigure themselves? People who are unqualified as well. Well, I want our class to realize that I am not talking about the handicapped in any way, shape, or form. I'm talking about the careless, those who have disregard for everything around them. I am not talking about handicapped people. I have a special place in my heart for handicapped people. As a matter of fact, I spent several years of my life helping the handicapped. Seriously, I've never talked about it, and I'm not going to. But I have. I did something quite unique for the handicapped for a couple of years. The handicapped are people who are less fortunate, not because of something that they have done. It's something that's happened to them. They deserve our help. They deserve a hand up. Not pity, a helping hand. And if you can do that, I think that would be wonderful. And I had a chat last night from one of our class, a lengthy chat. And I said, we were talking about a handicapped person who he knows. And I said, here's what you can do. In every state, there is vocational rehabilitation. It's a division of the government or department of the government. Every state has it. You can call it voc rehab or vocational rehabilitation. And the mission statements are something like this. They differ from state to state to state. But the job of vocational rehabilitation is to help those who have a disability that want to find a job or advance in a job or keep a job, but their disability is preventing that. So you can look that up, voc rehab or vocational rehabilitation. It's in your state. And you can make an appointment, and you'll be assigned a counselor. That counselor's job is to figure out what is necessary to get that person employed. If a person has need of braces, for legs or arms, they'll do that. If the person needs correctional lenses, they'll provide that. If a person needs tutoring or training, they'll do that. And the way it works is Voc Rehab is measured based on successes. How many cases do they have, and how many of them are successfully placed in employment? That's their job. You and I and everyone who pays taxes is paying for this. You can get these services from your state's vocational rehabilitation office. They're in every major city. Let's look it up. Vocational rehabilitation, comma, the name of your state or the city. You'll find it. And if they give you a hard time, you call me. You call me on the air, and we will give them all the credit they deserve. And I'm going to give you that number right now, 866-582-9933. If your handicapped loved one is not getting help from Voc Rehab, we'll make Voc Rehab. We're all set? Cocked? Locked? Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Rich Sheben's with us. Back in the 1980s, we coined the term handy-capable in lieu of handicapped. Handy-capable. And there are many people with disabilities who are handy-capable. And if you have it in your wherewithal to help someone, and I'm not talking about financially, I'm talking about encouragement, leadership, guidance, training, please do that. Please help someone who could use your help. Don't be like those people who, when they see the senior citizen being beat up across the street, just take out their phone and video it. Don't be like that. Go help that person. You can do that. You can help people. Rich, did you have any comments, concerns, or questions about vocational rehabilitation? I can speak to that if you have any questions or comments. Did we lose Rich even? Rich, are you there? Okay. Well, while we are looking for Rich even. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no idea what happened.
Okay.
I have no idea what happened. It's kind of analogous to a lot of the things that's going on, which we talked about yesterday, Vince, privately. Websites where we have different articles on different search engines. Basically, big tech is corrupting everything, and that includes audio as well. But to answer your question, I certainly agree with helping people with disabilities. And what you were talking about before, about the unqualified and the implied lack of accountability behind counters and people of those lack of qualifications getting jobs, mostly probably because of political correctness based on what group they're in, which, again, lowers the bars of standards and expectations for that job. I think what could be a peripheral desire by the elites is to start having the people saying exactly what you're saying, like, oh, this is getting so frustrated, the lack of qualified people, and guess what they're going to do? They're going to take the people's jobs and replace them with robotics, automation, artificial intelligence. So I think this is a chess game for grooming the American people to, again, accept less of our abilities to control our own destiny. And, it's just like an article right here, dead people receiving millions of Social Security payments. Now, it's so funny that so many of our municipal or government employee pension scams, and just like everything else, is so people would vote for the Democrat Party with all these false promises. And all these people who are getting $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 per month on government and pensions because they were government employees is an absolute joke. Everything, including group identity politics, including the Women's March, and I've quoted, this isn't me talking. These are quotes from other people, big names, who are saying this is all a scam done so you can vote for the Democrat Party. Same thing with this immigrant woman article I shared earlier in the show, where she thinks group identity politics is degrading. So it's all done for a higher purpose, everything. It's to deceive the people with illusions so they vote for the Democrat Party. And as the Democrat Party gets more and more power, we lose our freedoms, our liberties. We lose possibly our Bill of Rights, our Constitution, our ability to protect ourselves, our ability to get a job based on hard work and proven results. Everything that built America, culture, traditions, heritage, everything is being thrown out the window with the baby in the bathwater. And it's all BS. It's all propaganda, lies, false flags, and hoaxes. Every bit of it, 100%. So as they tier the system, basically it also grooms the American people to eliminating the rule of law. Because, God forbid, you call an extremist, controversial, racist, bigot, sexist, misogynist, homophobe, intolerant, violent, hater, conspiracy theorist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. With only isn't instant, and phobia is at the end of the word. So I think a lot of people are realizing that a lot of these words don't even have meaning. They don't have meaning because they're used every 5 seconds from the mainstream media, and they all screech the same talking points. They're like robots. They're reading off of a script. Nothing even makes sense anymore. You know, and you can see where this is going as well, Vince. The elites are also, they're pointing the way to blame populist movements for the failing economy. So we need to make sure we don't buy it. And I talk about this all the time. Now, you know, Trump, he wasn't just spied on. He was entrapped. They tried to entrap our president for an investigation that should have been done against Hillary and the DNC because they colluded with the Russians. You know, it's amazing how so many people give the Democrats and Hillary Clinton so much kudos, but we keep forgetting history. Remember, not too long ago, recently, and it was regarding Eric Holder and another black man, Hillary Clinton said they all look alike. Remember? That black men look alike. She also said that black men are super predators. And remember, Barbara Streisand recently said that regarding Michael Jackson's pedophilia, she says his sexual needs are his sexual needs. So much for adult mutual consensual sex. You know, Americans aren't prudes. They don't care who has sex with anybody as long as it's adult mutual consensual sex. And you do it behind closed doors. You don't shove your lifestyle down other people's throats. And that's not meant to be a sexual metaphor. But it's pretty obvious that this is Barbara Streisand dropped that bomb because she was among the elite trying to groom the American people to normalize pedophilia. We keep confusing leadership with bought and paid for. Our leaders are not leaders, most of them. Now, Trump's doing a lot of great things, and he's helping waking up a lot of people, and he's doing a lot of things with guts. I think here's an article right here, somewhere I got it, about Trump's wanting to close the border, okay? I don't even know where the heck that article is, but anyway, I read it recently. Trump wants to close the border and create a border czar. I think that's a great idea. You know what else you should do, Mr. President? And you know I've supported you, and I've gone on the air all over the country, even before you were elected in 2016. I'm not asking for paybacks. I'm just asking you to think about some of the ideas and solutions that we say on this show and the alternative media. But if you want to create a czar for the border, create a czar for the little people. Create a czar for the bottom 93%. The bottom 93% who has no protection rights or restitution under the law. As I was told when I was diagnosed with spinal stenosis and nerve damage and tried to keep my job with GlaxoSmithKline, and I asked to go part-time job share. They said it was for women only. I contacted about 30 different attorneys. They told me I didn't have enough group self-pity points. They told me if the same thing happened to me, and if I was a female, I would have had a $10 million check by the end of the day because of political correctness. So the little guy has no restitution. The little guy has no protection or rights under the law. If you want to do something, Mr. President, create a frickin' czar so someone is out there to protect the little guy of all colors, of all sexual orientations, of all genders, because we are allowing the powers that be to poison us against ourselves because too many people are drunk on, on the Kool-Aid of political correctness. And my rant is making me cough, Vince. I apologize for taking all this airtime, but I just couldn't hold back. Vince?
You know, it's really interesting, Rich Scheben and class. You know, I talked to Joey, I talked to Rich, I talked to Guineith, I talked to a whole bunch of instructors. We're all saying the same thing. We're all angry. Everybody I know is angry. They're angry at the way our system is dissolving right in front of our eyes. And, you know, you mentioned unqualified people in jobs being replaced with robots. Yeah. Now, why are they unqualified? Well, they went to school. They went to our government training day camps. That's where they went. They went to the government training day camps, the government schools. And they learned less and less. I was running for the school board in our county. And my message was fire the entire school board, one director at a time. Consider voting for Vincent Finelli, the only candidate who won't make your child urinate in a cup. And I met with the teachers. And I said, after school, I said, so what are you guys doing? They're in the library. Well, we're, working on these reports. Reports for what? Well, these are government reports. I said, how much time you spend doing this? Too much. What about teaching? Well, we have to do these reports. Why do you have to do these reports? Well, because they're required. I said, stop doing them. Stop doing them. We don't need the government cheese. We don't need the government money. We used to be able to teach our children without all this at lower cost, and it worked great. We actually could control what we taught. We didn't let the government, the federal government, the Department of Education tell us what to do. And our children were smarter. But now they're learning all kinds of stupid things, nice fuzzy stuff, instead of hard sciences. And I couldn't get the teachers to agree. And, of course, I lost big. I only got like 1/8 of the votes. So I can't help the school system. I can't help the electric cooperative customers. But I got into a conversation recently with a policeman, and he mentioned, I'm paraphrasing, that I'm hard on Vinny. You're kind of hard on cops. I'm hard on teachers as well. I'm hard on everyone who is abusing we the villagers. Teachers, let's talk about teachers for just a minute. Teachers feel that they're underpaid. Too many of them feel they're underpaid. Nonsense. In our county, teachers are paid more than the average working person. And they only work 9 months. 3 months of vacation. They get off work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they think they're underpaid and overworked. Nonsense. Nonsense. Being a teacher is not that hard. It's a lifestyle, but it's not that hard. Rich Scheben, I'll be right back, and I'm going to tell you what. Plus, I was thinking about teachers during the break, and I respect people, but I don't dole out respect. Respect from me has to be earned. And teachers have become mercenaries, too many of them. I'll prove it to you. Stop paying the teachers and see if they show up for work. Okay? They've got 3 months off in the summer. How many of you can name a single teacher who says, you know what, I've got 3 months off in the summer. How about I volunteer to teach math or science or computer technology or history or art or anything? How many teachers can you name who would do anything like that during their free 3 months in the summer? Okay. But here at USA Prepares, every single one of us is a teacher, and every single one of us is a volunteer, and every single one of us has gotten zero compensation. Zero. Nothing. And we only do it because we want to. Okay? Now, Grace Thorne is a teacher, or was a teacher. She's retired. She taught 6th grade in Ryan, Oklahoma. She taught her 6th graders poise, decorum, succinctness, how to speak in public, right here on USA Prepares. Those students would formulate their questions during a month of not being on the air, and then they come on like every month or every 6 weeks, and they'd come on with Dr. Shealy or Dr. Richard Allen Miller, and they would ask that burning question that they couldn't get the answer from anyone else. She taught them how to do that. She taught them how to sit still in the conference room and the entire class be on the speakerphone at the same time. And it wasn't pandemonium. It was incredible. She taught them how to do that. What was her thanks? Well, she was shunned by her fellow teachers, the principal and the superintendent. That's what you get for doing a good job. Now, if you're complacent and you go along to get along, you're part of the destruction of the United States of America, in my opinion. And I have no respect for people who are like that. Now, CenturyTel / CenturyLink, a telephone company. It's a miserable phone company. I think that they are striving to continue to be the worst managed company in the United States of America. And here's what I want to tell you. So I pay them for internet and landline. And the price keeps going up and up and up. And I keep asking for discounts, and the discounts keep expiring, and loyalty discounts and all kinds of discounts. So I pay about half of what they would really want, which is wonderful. But when the phone service is not working and the internet quits, I'm paying for something that I'm not getting. So here's my advice to all of you. And this relates to satellite TV if you have that, and I'm suggesting if you have it, dump it. But if you're addicted to it, okay. But pay less. And if it doesn't work, if the reception's spotty, or your telephone or internet is spotty, or your cable's spotty, you call them up. And you say, and I did it yesterday. I said, well, the internet was down over the weekend. How long was it down? It was down for 1 day. What would you like us to do? I want to be credited for the amount of money that I spent that I didn't receive the services that I paid for. Now, let's say I'm paying $50 a month, let's say roughly. And it'd be a little over $1 a day. But I'm not satisfied with $1 compensation because now I lost the ability to transact business. I lost the ability to do research. I lost the ability to prepare for the broadcast. It was important to me to have the internet, but I didn't have it. So what do I want? I don't know. Well, I said that I want to be compensated with a credit, and they offered me $10. I said, okay, that's fine. Now, if it fails today, I'm going to call back today. If it fails tomorrow, I'm going to call back tomorrow. And it's going to be 10 and 10 and 10 and 10. Now, if enough of us do that, something will happen. Management will say, we got to stop answering the phone. Or we got to fix the problem because now it's costing us too much money because these darn customers are demanding to talk to people. Now, if that doesn't work, then what you do is you dispute the transaction on your credit card if you pay by a credit card. You dispute it and you say, I paid for something that I didn't get. Now, the telephone company or that service provider will get dinged $35 by the credit card company if you pay by credit card. And they won't be able to stand that either. So the bottom line is let's keep hammering these guys with our complaints about crappy delivery, downtime, and get them to pay us. So just a little bit more about CenturyLink / CenturyTel. So I've called them in the past, and I've said, boy, my internet's really slow. And they said, well, let's do a test. And they go, well, you know, we only guarantee 80% of the speed that you pay for. Now, I want you to think about that. They only guarantee 80% of what you pay for. So you get your lawn cut by the lawn service. I mean, I would never do that, but I mean, so think about this. So this your neighbor's got this lawn service coming out, and the guy cuts the front lawn, the back lawn, and leaves the sides. And your neighbor says, hey, whoa, what are you doing? What about the sides? And the lawn guy says, well, we only guarantee we cut 80% of the grass. The sides, that's 20%, so we don't do that. Maybe next time. Or you go buy donuts. You go to the donut place and you say, may I have a dozen donuts, please? And may I have the Boston cream or whatever your favorite is. And you pay for a dozen donuts and you look in the box and there's 10. And then you look on the bottom of the box and it says, we guarantee to sell you 80% of what you pay for. That's what's happening. in the United States of America. When I had a computer manufacturing company, I always made sure that our customers got more than they paid for, more. I didn't put my finger on the deli scale, my thumb on the scale to weigh it down and say, okay, let's see, that's a pound. But my thumb was, pushing down 2 or 3 ounces. That's what people do when they are cheats. That's what used to happen on deli scales. Seriously. So this 80%, we guarantee 80% of what you bought. That's CenturyLink, the worst telephone provider on the planet, if not the galaxy. Rich Scheben?
Yeah, well, I didn't have a chance to comment on what you said a while ago. I want to talk about teachers and the school board. But I also want to mention this one article that just came out on Zero Hedge. This is Maxine Waters saying, quote, "No one was hurt. It was the correct thing to do to drop the Jussie Smollett charges." Well, you know what? It is not the correct thing to do, because what it does is says we're going to lower the bars of standards and expectations for blacks and gays. Or is Jussie Smollett really an Obama friend? Was this crime or hoax set up to be plausible deniability so they may not connect the dots? It's getting to the point where everything is manufactured perception. It's all phony. It's all propaganda, lies, hoaxes, and false flags. Everything. Now to talk about the teachers and the school board, what you were talking about, I've known a lot of teachers and school board members over the years, and one thing that they talk about on a regular basis is, I can't wait to retire. I can't wait to retire. I can't wait to retire. Or they brag about their health care and their pension systems and all that, which are broke mostly throughout the country, especially in certain states. So this is why we need to have 15 years of successful private sector experience to be a teacher or to be on the school board. I've mentioned this thousands of times. This underpaid narrative that you were talking about, this is so teachers are willing to go along with a prepared, less researched, done by teachers curriculum. So this way the teachers can say, well, I'm overworked, I'm underpaid. If the state tells me certain narratives and messages and themes and memes and talking points, I'm just going to say it. So if I got to teach little boys how to give BJs, I'll do it. If I'm going to confuse 6-year-old kids about which identity to choose, I'm going to do it. It's about selling talking points of division. It's not teaching history. It's not teaching math. And I've given countless examples on that, like the professor from the University of Illinois who was, I think, a geometry teacher or something in math. And she said that it's white privilege or it's racist to use objective facts in math. It has to be subjective. It is the most stupid thing I've ever talked about. Now, like I said, the line of stupidity on the XY graph is literally fighting cowardice all the way to the finish line. And we cannot accept this. We have to stand up to this. Science. What's science? What science are they teaching in school today? That basically, if you are for you're a proponent of big pharma, you can basically say anything that you want. If you're a naturopath doctor or you're into homeopathy, you're basically going to get shunned, if not murdered. What are they teaching about science? How about the CDC study? That's right, the CDC study on guns. It was never published, but it was bought and paid for by the taxpayers, because the reason why it wasn't publicized is because the guns were used offensively by victims 3.6 times more often than they were used offensively by criminals, and that was out of the dailycaller.com. Folks, I don't care where you go. Do your reading, your research before you speak up, but get away from the bought and paid for media, okay? The national media, and that includes some big names who are so-called on the right. If you hear anybody saying it's a two-tier justice system, no, they are basically compromising a half-truth. It is not a two-tier justice system. They're implying that there's one set of justice system for the Democrats and one for the Republicans. Of course it's true. But the Democrats, we have to remember, the talking points that are sanctioned by the wealthiest people in the world in order to distract, dumb down, and divide the American people? Why do you think actors and Hollywood and sports stars get paid so many millions of dollars? Because they're part of the bread and circus. And then the elite ask them to say, okay, now you got to pay up and come to the microphone and get people to vote Democrat. That's what it's about. It's all about the vote. So I can't be plain enough about this. I've given countless examples over the years on how this is true. But we don't have a two-tiered justice system. We have a multi-tiered justice system. And that's Jesse Smollett is just a great example, okay? Because it's lowering the bars of standards and expectations because you're black or you're gay or you're friends of the Obamas or whatever it is, okay? They are throwing the narrative out there that we have to just do the correct thing and drop charges even though it's so obvious. But if any one of us did it, the little guy, forget about it. You're going into the who's gal. We cannot reward mediocrity because we turn America into the law of diminishing returns. And that affects dramatically the opportunity, knowledge, and productivity and innovation from the people. Okay? We cannot degrade and disrespect and insult the work ethic, ability, and intelligence of all the people out there who have worked so hard by lowering the bars of standards and expectations based on victim group status or protectionist group status. Why do you think they go after Ben Carson? Because he went around the country when he was running for president, and I heard him. I was in the front row here in northwest Montana, and he says, I hate political correctness, because when you're politically correct, you turn minorities into victims. Why is the mainstream media and the left going after Candace Owens? Because she admits this a few years ago that she wasn't educated enough, and she was a lefty Democrat. And she thought that she deserved the entitlements of playing the victim group status card because she was a woman and she was black. Well, she's put her foot down on that. And she's talking just the opposite because she did the reading and research to realize that the left is hijacked by the globalist party, by the elite, to put out propaganda, lies, hoaxes, and false flags against the American people to make chaos occur, to make infighting occur, to make race wars occur, to make gender wars occur. And for all of you people who are on the left, because you were, let's say you were female, and now you have men identifying as female and can compete against you in sports. There's no credibility or legitimacy to watch female sports anymore. And this isn't me talking. I read about this probably every day. And you're not going to get this information from the mainstream media because they're bought and paid for. They're actors. There's no difference from an anchor man or woman who reads a script compared to a Hollywood actor. There's no difference. They're the same thing. They're just a different subset or a different category under the same propaganda heading, actor heading. That's what it is. That's all it is. So, pardon my rant again, Vince, but, when we get so stupid and so cowardice, and people are afraid to say anything because they're so drunk on a Kool-Aid of political correctness, it's gotten to the point where pretty soon nothing's going to matter if enough people don't stand up. And I know people are being woken up more and more every day. And I know, we need to be very thankful for President Trump for some of the things that he's doing. There's some things that I have questioned and I've been vocal about in public on national radio. But I think if we had Hillary right now, not only would our economy be in the trash, which Trump is barely holding it up to smoke and mirrors, I think every little bit of freedom, I think the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, everything would be gone. We have to remember that Trump was investigated for what Hillary and the DNC collusion did with Russia. And then not only did they spy on him, but they entrapped him. I know I said this before. We need to say it again. We've gotten to the point where reality is totally distorted. We've gotten to the point where if you were a writer, you couldn't write this as a Twilight Zone episode. That's how corrupt and manipulated the system has become. And it's only up to the citizen journalists, it's up to the new media / alternative media to bring these things to light, especially these articles. Why do you think the mainstream media trashed Zero Hedge? ZeroHedge.com. Great website, folks. You get a lot of good information, mostly financial and economic situation, but there's some really good stuff. There's another, CitizenFreePress.com. I call it the new Drudge Report, okay? I heard a lot of negative things about Drudge. Things like, I don't think he's sold out, but I have seen some questionable articles on his site. Go to CitizenFreePress.com, folks. CITIZEN freepress.com, and I think you'll be pretty impressed with the information that you'll get from there. From what I can see, they are not politically correct. If they're part of the spook CIA, DOJ division, they're doing a really poor job because they are all about truth from what I can see. Vince?
All right, we'll be right back. Class, just a quick update. If you go to usaprepares.com, usaprepares.com, you'll see a link that says America is falling apart. Joey, Vincent, Finelli, USA Prepares, YouTube link. Please click on that. Listen to that. That was us over the top yesterday, talking about what's wrong with America and how we're really falling apart in front of your eyes. And that'll take you to the Ron Gibson channel. And please post your comment. I'd love to read what you have to say about America is falling apart. Georgia, New Hampshire, welcome. You're on with Rich Scheben and me.
Hi, Vincent. Hi, Rich.
Hey, George.
Just to weigh in, I just wanted to say that, one time I was sitting at a table with people that I had known for many years. And we're a group of men. We would come from the gun club, and we'd stop off at this place that we used to like to keep. We were off to one side, get some privacy. So we're talking about different things, and I said, look, why don't we all form a fraternity so that in the event one of us gets into some sort of trouble or jam, we can come to their rescue, be it just showing up, being, maybe doing something like if somebody got into the jam, like with the court system or something, we could at least show up, see what they need. And I wasn't hanging around with bad actors, okay? But I was trying to say, in this world, something's always going to come up. And I said, if you notice the people on the other side, they seem to be unified, very well funded, and enthusiastic about what they're trying to do. And then I look at our side, and I'm not referring to you gentlemen or the faculty, but I'm just saying is that I see people, I saw the men at the table's eyes glaze over, and it was like there was a wall there like they wouldn't cross. And I said to myself, I've known these men for years. I said, they weren't bad guys, but I said, I at least you try to knock this around, And you say to yourself, it was like that lone wolf thing that they were just all by themselves and they were going to take care of on themselves. And I know one individual, let's just say he got into a real jam, and it was an innocent enough thing, but let's just say it happened with the firearm. And it was in a state that, let's just say, you might as well as put People's Republic in front of it. And nobody wants to join up, like whether it's you, Vincent, making a phone call to a neighbor who would have no shame the year before saying, will you sign this petition so I can get my name in and I can run for this office? Sure. Then the next year you say, could you sign this petition so, like you said, you could save his electric bill? I'm sure, Rick, you've been on the same situation, and they won't even sign their name. And then I say to myself, I don't understand how the American Revolution, they were made of different stuff, or World War II or whatever, the community. But like you say, you're watching the demolition of our country.
Oh, well, George, it's by design. This is all by design. This has nothing to do with common sense or logic, right or wrong. This is by design. People are afraid to get on the list. People are afraid to speak up. This is why I mentioned a lot of these articles where people are speaking up. This is why I mentioned the fact that we are being distracted, dumbed down, divided. This is why I give thousands of examples. And I talk about ideas and solutions. We all do on USAPrepares.com. Because
Rich, let me give you an example. let me give you an example. We had a guy show up at our meetups. We've been doing meetups for years and years and years, and he shows up on a Friday, and he says, I got it. Here's what we do. He gets up to the microphone. That's fine with me. And he says, we'll wear our holsters. We will wear our holsters around the town, Springfield, Missouri. Empty holsters. We'll have our empty holsters. I'm there with my .45 tucked between my shirt and the inside of my pants, the buttstocks hanging out there, not brandishing, just carrying it. And this guy says, let's carry empty holsters. That's who we have become. We become a bunch of empty holsters. You're absolutely right, George.
You know,
you hit the nail right on the head. We become a bunch of pansies. We don't want to get involved. You know, hey, I don't want to put my name on that. I don't want to get involved. You know, the turtle syndrome or the ostrich syndrome. You're absolutely right. We are an intergalactic disgrace. Men.
The Bible said in the future times, they'll have a form of godliness, but lacking the power thereof. So what good is it? You have the form, but you don't have the function or the power.
Men, take them out of your pocket or grow a set right now.